Hello, my name is Miguel Parga. I am the best-selling author of What They Didn't Teach You in Film School, and I'm also a film professor and have been a film professor for the last 14 years. This is another one of my series of videos on how to make movies at home with whatever equipment you have available. It is Memorial Day here in Miami, rather rainy and quiet Memorial Day, which is nice. This week we lost actor Ray Liotta, an actor that was in a number of great films, some of them that influenced my life as a filmmaker quite a bit. Of course, the one movie that everybody knows him from and that he was most famous for was his part in the movie Goodfellas, directed by Martin Scorsese. It's a movie that many consider the greatest gangster film of all time. I mean, I don't know about that. I think it's a fantastic film. To me, it's pretty much a toss-up between that film and The Godfather. They're so different. And one of the things that's great about it is that it really did show us another side of that genre after The Godfather, which had been so influential before that. Goodfellas is really a tour de force, and you really can see Martin Scorsese again in full force as a filmmaker, and with his style and everything that comes with a Martin Scorsese film firmly in place, right, as we see it. So my students and I recently watched the film, and I thought it was a good opportunity to talk about it and talk about the things that I really like about the movie and the things that really changed my view of how to do certain things. So I don't know if you guys may realize this or not, but Goodfellas is based on a true story. It's a story of Henry Hill, who actually did exist, was a mobster, and was a member of I believe the Lucchese crime family, and he was arrested and testified for the FBI and went into protective custody into the witness protection program, and lived there inside of that program for many years until finally was released. I think he died 2012, I believe, something like that. The film is based on a book by Nicholas Pileggi. The name of the book is White Sky. A great little book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend. So one of the things that the film does that's really interesting is that it does things that, for all intents and purposes, shouldn't work. And yet Scorsese makes them work, in a very particular way. So for example, the use of the voiceover. So there's voiceover throughout the film. The voiceover is pretty much lifted from the book almost. And one of the rules of filmmaking, I guess, is always to show me things rather than tell me. So when you're working with voiceover, one of the things that you want to be aware of and be careful of is that you don't want the voiceover telling you what's happening. Okay, you want the voiceover to add another layer of context to the events that we're watching. But what we don't want to see the event and then have the voiceover tell me exactly what's happening in the event. But in Goodfellas, this happens quite a bit. So the voiceover breaks that rule that a voiceover should not tell you what's happening. It should be there just to add something else. And yet Scorsese makes it work in this movie. I mean, I can't think of better lines, especially that opening line where he says, "Ever since I could remember, I always wanted to be a gangster." And all these things really give us an insight into the character's mind and the character's state, that mental state and emotional state, that you couldn't do any other way, right? So it's a great example of a film that does something that it shouldn't do, but yet they do it and they make it work. Another thing that many people talk about in Goodfellas is the use of music, right? The soundtrack is just an amazing soundtrack, handpicked by Scorsese and married to some of the images in such a way that it's very hard for me now to listen to some of those songs like the Rolling Stones, right? And all I can see is that montage where we're finding all the bodies that Jimmy Conway, one of the gangsters from the movie, has executed, right? And we're watching how the police and everybody's finding these bodies, and just the music married to that image. It's very difficult now. It's so strong. It's very difficult for me to disassociate those images from the music. So it's another incredible thing that the movie does. Of course, one of the highlights of it is Scorsese's use of camera movement, his use of the insert. So beautiful what he chooses to show you and when. Of course, the long shots, there are many long shots in this film that are worthy of discussion for for a film class, but in particular, there's that the one everybody talks about is the entrance into the Copacabana, where Henry Hill is taking his wife-to-be Karen into the Copa, and the shot follows them from the street, through the back door, through the kitchens, into the main dining room area where they are seated, and the camera adjusts to catch them sitting down at their table, and finishes the scene in a two-shot. Fantastic, beautiful shot. You know, as a filmmaker, you wonder the amounts of coordination that it must have taken to get that shot with probably 300, 400 extras, and so many different environments and movements. That's a particularly incredible part of watching this film, is seeing how Scorsese dominates that camera language and film language, and how he communicates it to the audience. Another thing that's great in it, and another one of the scenes that people do talk about quite a bit, is the sequence in which Henry Hill is arrested, which is the sequence in which he's trying to offload this shipment of drugs and send it with his babysitter to where it needs to go. She's getting on a plane, and there's his whole afternoon picking up his brother and cooking dinner and getting the shipment ready, and all the time he's thinking that they're being followed by a helicopter, and indeed they are being followed by a helicopter, and eventually at the end they're arrested. It's a great example of how filmmaking can reflect the character's emotional state, right? As he starts feeling paranoid, the filmmaking becomes paranoid. And as we watch it, the cuts, the changes in music, the movement of the camera, those rapid push-ins of the camera make you feel paranoid, like the character is feeling paranoid. Incredible movie. I was surprised that some of my students had not seen it. So we took the time and enjoyed it together. So if you haven't, please go check out Goodfellas. It's a movie that's now, I think Goodfellas came out in 1990, so we're talking about a movie that's 30 years old. But you'll be surprised how fresh and how still poignant and fabulous the filmmaking is. If you like the content and would like to hear more about future seminars, projects, and the upcoming release of my new book, How to Make Movies at Home, subscribe to the channel and follow me on social media. Thanks for watching.